For Ballpark Digest, I'm Jesse Goldberg-Strassler. This is special. Let me introduce Kevin Reichard of Ballpark Digest to introduce our Executive of the Year. And Kevin, we're feeling patriotic.
We are feeling very patriotic. I'm happy in this podcast to announce that from the Somerset Patriots, Patrick McVerry is our Executive of the Year. He's joining us today. And we're also being joined by the VP of Communications and all things to do with words and media, Mark Resinoff. Thank you both for joining us today.
Oh, we're happy to be here. Thank you so much for this honor and for putting this together. And certainly very humbled and just really pleased to be on with you guys today.
Well, we had a lot of really good nominations this year because a lot of people went through certainly an eventful year or two or three.
Sure.
But even by those standards, I think it's safe to say you had a very, very eventful year, to be sure, between beginning with the transition to affiliated ball and then sort of ending with some eventful stuff at the ballpark. But first of all, Patrick, why don't we start with you telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Yeah. I'm started in the sports business with the New Jersey Nets way back when in the mid 90s, and just kind of fell upon the Somerset Patriots prior to the ballpark being built. And I met the Califers and a few other folks that were involved at the time. They hired me as a director of marketing in '98 and promoted to '99 assistant GM, vice president, general manager in 2002, and then president, general manager in 2004. So I've had the great honor of being here and watching this organization grow from literally nothing into what we are now as a AA of the Yankees.
Patrick, I want to go back just to that very first year that you joined. It's a road team, and they're building the stadium.
Yeah.
How was that promoting, marketing, selling the Patriots without the stadium yet?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what was amazing at the time was the community support of the team was through the roof. I mean, season ticket sales, just the energy and the interest in the team. But you're right. I mean, let's put it this way. It was a brand new team, but a brand new league. And at the time, most of the teams did not have ballparks. So it wasn't even, but we're all playing at each other's parks and also some other satellite ballparks that we could just get our hands on for that year. But we struggled on the field. Sparky Lyles, our manager, his first year managing. So it was a collection of talent, if you will, and kind of got through that year and real excited as the ballpark was being built, how beautiful it looked, and having that energy and the community support as we opened up that June of '99.
I love the story of the Atlantic League, sort of rising from those really modest roots, sort of slung together to becoming a very established and very reputable league. And you don't, that's not always the case in independent baseball, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
In fact, the road to hell is sort of paved with failed independent leagues in Texas and whatnot. So seeing it all happened, I would imagine that from your viewpoint, one of the success stories is behind the league is strong ownership.
Correct. Yes. And you're right. The league, looking at back then in '98, '99, the idea was to build these new ballparks, and the ballpark would be the selling point, not necessarily the players on the field. So find some great communities, build nice ballparks, and people will come. Some of them survived, some of them didn't. And you're right, Kevin, with the ownership that the Somerset Patriots have and had at the time, allowed us to, I think, flourish in these last 20 plus years. But more importantly, when we're starting out, to have strong ownership and be able to kind of go through the highs and lows, like as Jesse pointed out, spending over $1 million to put a team on the road, and basically that's just $1 million+ loss that you have to incur just to get this league started. So we're certainly proud of our time in the Atlantic League. I could speak for our staff, like Mark, who's been there since literally the beginning with me. And the great honor of the Yankees come knocking on your door and ask you if you'd be interested in being an affiliate was just was amazing. It was amazing. It made all that hard work paid off.
So I will ask either one of you to answer this question. Was there a very specific moment where you either looked at each other or looked at someone else and said, this thing's really going to work now?
You mean with the Yankees, or are you just talking about independent?
Independent, as the Patriots as a team.
Sure. Yeah, no, listen, I back in our opening day, and it was a sellout crowd, and we had great attendance. Those first few years was just amazing. But I think the greatest thing that I think we did as our staff was we adjusted our business. We knew that season tickets weren't going to last forever. You're going to have this big base. That's just typical. The novelty kind of wears off. People realize they don't want to go to as many games, and so we were able to adjust and really increase our individual sales and also our group business, increasing our radius of where we're pulling people, not just 20, 25 miles, but going like 30, 35 miles. So, and as you know, I think New Jersey is the most congested state in the nation. So there's a lot of people within 30, 35 miles of these ballparks. So it is, I've said it a million times, they put a perfect location to put this ballpark, and that was part of our success. I knew it right from the beginning. I was just starting out in the sports field, the sports business, and when I first started here, I knew like this is a place I want to settle down.
I'm wondering, when was the first time either one of you heard that first word of we could be an affiliate of the Yankees coming up?
Yeah, well, I won't go through the entire history, but it was Memorial Day weekend. It was a Saturday, I believe, and I got a call from somebody in the Yankees organization asking if they'd come see our ballpark. So just kind of explain they're kind of looking around, just as the agreement with Major League Baseball, minor league baseball was in the NA was expiring. So they were looking to change things up potentially. So we had a few people from the Yankees come out that weekend. Now this is just when COVID was just starting, so it was a little hectic of a time. Everybody's wearing masks. The ballpark itself wasn't exactly being operated on a daily basis because folks were home. But we all came in, cleaned the ballpark, cut the grass, lined the fields, put the scoreboard on, and it looked and felt like it was game day. The Yankees came. They really liked the facility. We knew we had to do some upgrades and some renovations to kind of get us up to what they would call a Yankee AA standard. We agreed to do that. We didn't get exact word. This sort of courting of the Yankees lasted from that Memorial Day weekend all the way until we found out just at the first week of November, with conversations throughout the summer. So we felt good at times in the summer. We felt like this wasn't going to happen, and there was kind of ups and downs. And when we finally got the word, we were just so excited. And I love to credit our owner, Steve Califer, with really, he's the greatest businessman I've ever met in my entire life, one of the best salesmen I've ever met in my entire life, and he was instrumental in making sure that we got the Yankees here.
Let's talk a little bit about Steve, which is kind of a bittersweet part of this past season and the transition to the Yankees.
Yeah. So Steve Califer is well known in New Jersey as a ultra businessman, entrepreneur, philanthropist. He was just a great friend of ours. There's no one adjective or noun that describes Steve Califer. He was just one of a kind, but huge Yankee fan. And one of the reasons, and huge baseball fan, it was his idea to start a team here in Bridgewater, New Jersey. And really, he put his reputation on the line with a league that didn't exist and a team that didn't exist. And he always made it a promise that our ballpark would be debt-free, taxpayer neutral, and all those things fell into place. And for the last 23 years, as we were so successful in independent baseball, and a lot had to do with his leadership. But as we were looking to get the Yankees and hopefully get the Yankees here, he had a great relationship. His best friend was Joe Torre. So he's very close with Joe, and obviously Joe was helpful in giving us guidance and information and just kind of the Yankee way, if you will. But more than that, Steve was just one of those one-of-a-kind guys that really truly cares about people, and it could be anybody, top to bottom in any organization.
Mark, take me through from your perspective. Steve passes away. It is late April. You've got basically 2 weeks till opening day. There's so much that you've got to do. There's so much that the ballpark, that the ball club has to do. How is that whirlwind of emotions and obstacles approaching your very first game as a Yankees affiliate?
Absolutely. But to his credit, Steve and Patrick, and Jonathan and Josh, Steve's children, prepared us, properly to be able to handle all challenges. We have an amazing staff. We have people that have been here for a long time. And, we, from day one, we worked really hard to, the way Steve likes to do things was he liked us to be the Yankees long before we were the Yankees. We worked really hard to do that. And I think one of the things that it just seemed like it was a perfect fit, if you would say, and we just all came together. It's something that we feel like we were working for this for 2 decades. Definitely something that we worked hard to earn. And I think that that's something that comes from Steve and everybody that's been here for a long time, and everybody that's come through the door, whether that's staff, whether it's players, whether it's our coaching staff, and the people always carried themselves a certain way. And it was Steve's way, and it was the Somerset Patriots way. And it was something that I think that we're all ready for. And it just, a lot of that emotion was just the excitement of being the Yankees, bring the Yankees to Somerset County, but then also a lot of emotion because everybody in some way has been impacted by Steve in this area. There wasn't a story that you didn't hear that went back to Steve at some point over the past year. Everybody has such great dealings with him and has such emotion around him and just love him. And we all did. He was like a father figure to many, many people here. And it's tough to lose someone so important to you. But I think that in his way, he set all of us up to carry on a legacy that I think, he'd be very proud of. And I think that his sons feel that way and will do a great job continuing what it's like to work for the Califers. But yeah, the Somerset Patriots, you can't tell the story. You can't walk into his ballpark without thinking of Steve. He's touched every part of our lives. He's touched every part of this ballpark and this community. And I think he'll always be here in his own way. So.
Well, especially with the statue out front, right?
Yes, absolutely. That's I say hi to him every day I come to work.
So how I know you say you were prepared, and I actually can see that. How daunting was it on some level, though, to switch to a Yankees affiliation, especially knowing that in terms of player development, the Yankees now kind of rely on Double-A for rehab than they used to. It used to be Tampa, and right. Last 5-7 years it's been Double-A. Derek Jeter, for instance.
Sure. Yeah, no, that was a major adjustment. Obviously, as an independent, part of my responsibility was to making sure we had a manager and coaches and players, and with that comes all the responsibility of taking care of 30 plus guys every season. So that in itself is an adjustment, as you're basically bringing in another organization and hosting them at your ballpark. But it's also a welcome, and it was very welcome, believe me. But yeah, listen, it's if there's one affiliate you want, it's the Yankees in my book. I think from top to bottom, they run things the right way. They're serious about winning, and we saw it this year. Our team was, had the best record in our division. We had 11 major league rehabs this summer, and they were obviously a major impact on attendance. And we had top prospects here too throughout the summer. So baseball is exciting. It was a different level than we were accustomed to, or fans were accustomed to. But it was very memorable, and we just came really just an inning short of getting to the championship, which was so close to happening. But I'll take what we had.
It would be one thing for your move to a Yankees affiliate to be taking place in a normal season, in a normal time. We're in the thick still of the pandemic. What challenges did that present?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, so when we're going into the season, we're all worried about not doing the right thing for your affiliate. We're not used to being an affiliate. So we're not used to having this parent company, but also you have Major League Baseball and the new PDL and meeting all their standards. So there was a lot of moving parts, and then throw on top of that the COVID protocols, and they were coming down on a daily basis as things were hot and heavy about spring. And there was points where there was rumors that we weren't even going to have that May 4th opener, that the season was going to get delayed. And luckily we were able to start, but as we started, we had no contact at all with the players, coaches, minimal contact with the manager. We were not supposed to be within, 6 feet of anybody, but more than that, we were supposed to be in 2 different areas completely. So that was the struggle. So you have this new team coming in, but you're not allowed to talk to them. So we didn't get to know the guys very well. There's just really our manager and a couple of coaches I dealt with. I didn't really get a chance to talk to the players. So we were very concerned with doing the right thing from protocols for COVID, just making sure the Yankees were comfortable. But I think we accomplished all that. We had, knock on wood, we had no situations with COVID the entire summer. The players were extremely happy with the area in Somerset County they lived in, and they loved the ballpark. They loved the upgrades that we did and continue to do. So I think it all worked out, and I've gotten great feedback from the Yankees front office staff.
Well, that must have been quite the challenge for you too, Mark, trying to create connections between the outside world and players without having a ton of access yourself.
Yeah, it definitely, it was different. I mean, we were always an organization, we loved providing accessibility. We loved people being able to have access to the player stories. We worked really hard to tell our organization story, but also, the players, who were these guys? They always had that human interest. You wanted to explain why somebody was in the Atlantic League, or tell their story of hoping that they were able to get to the next step. And now we have future Yankees, and you just want to you want to tell all these stories. You want to be able to let everybody know who they are, and the amount of people that wanted to do interviews, and we got calls every day about wanting to do stuff, and you really didn't have as much access as you would want to. So a lot of things were done on Zoom, and at first, we were doing post games on Zooms, and any interviews were on Zoom, and eventually it started to loosen up a little bit, and we were able to do in-persons, and to their credit, the guys were great. I mean, Julio Mascara, our manager, was so helpful with everything. The Yankees guys were great. The front office with the Yankees was just let us kind of check in and do a lot of what we wanted to do. But it's really hard to operate in that remote world when our jobs are all about people and relationships, and you want to be able to have the opportunity to put someone one-on-one to talk to somebody, or even in that group to get some sort of reaction. You don't really get that as much on the screen. It is what it is. But there were so many interesting stories to tell, from the rehab assignments to the prospects that were coming in, guys that might be coming up. And
we're having some bandwidth issues here. So
Yeah, Mark, we lost you. That's funny because we're both on the same Wi-Fi.
You're on the same Wi-Fi. Well, you must be.
Tried to do is want them to feel like this is their home. We would.
Hey, Mark, we're having a little problem with your Wi-Fi.
Yeah, let me see if I can. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
I don't know why it's doing this. I'm on a normal.
As far as explaining the struggles with having to deal with Zoom with the players, this is a perfect example.
We tempted fate,
Wi-Fi,
there, gentlemen.
Yeah, that's right, Kevin.
Let me see if another one is better. I'm sorry.
That's okay. And I have a follow for Patrick, actually. So we discussed the player side. As a manager, as an exec, what challenges did you have to face? I mean, obviously, I shouldn't say obviously. I'm guessing you had staffing issues. Because
sure, yeah. I mean, again, when we're looking at last spring and the unknown of playing or not, so what happens there is it limits your ticket sales, it limits your ability to sell groups because people don't know if you're going to play or not. But to your point, also staffing. Kids want to make sure they have a summer job, and we at the time can't commit to a summer job if we don't know if you're going to play or not. So that in itself, but then as you get to the summer, then you saw the shortage in the job pool out there. So we're fortunate. We had a lot of our employees that had come back from previous years. But we did, to some degree, struggle in the areas of filling the concession stands and in those areas, just with the lack of the job pool. And you're talking about certain things is with COVID and not being able to have full capacity to start the season, which also limits your ability to cover certain areas and making sure that you're following all the COVID protocols. So you're actually moving people around to make sure that certain protocols are being followed through, and then you kind of maybe shorten some other areas. So a lot of moving things around and making sure that you're doing your job at the same time, providing affordable family entertainment and fans have a good time.
And then there's merch issues and supply chain issues. And
oh yeah, supply chain. That's a really good point too. I mean, supply chains, which is unfortunately not getting much better. Again, we're fortunate to some degree because we had gotten a lot of our merch previous to really the supply chain problems. Part and parcel of the fact that we got the announcement for the Yankees in November. We got right on it, so we got a lot of our inventory in. But from a food perspective, that was a major struggle, which was the supply chain. I mean, we get calls on a Thursday before a big weekend and say our chicken tenders aren't coming, and and we need like cases and cases of chicken tenders. So we're running over to Costco's and ShopRite, and we're just trying to buy chicken tenders. So literally, that's what would happen. I mean, so those are some of the things you just deal with, and I think we did a great job with it. But I'm hoping by the time we get next summer that the supply chain will be mended to some degree.
I hope so too, and I know everyone else is hoping so too, because I know a few GMs who weren't necessarily, they were saddened by COVID restrictions, but on the other hand, they privately said we couldn't handle full crowds anyway, even if we had them.
Yeah, I did speak with some GMs also that had mentioned that because of COVID, but at the same time they're kind of like relieved to some degree.
In addition to everything else, though, here comes Tropical Storm Ida.
Yeah, so we had a very rainy summer as before Ida came. So we, previously in 22 years, our record for rainouts in a year was 6. So before Ida came, we were already at 7. So it just, it was just a rainy year. But then Ida comes on September 1st. We weren't thinking it was going to be that big of a storm. We left here that Wednesday night. It was raining. Came back here on Thursday, and there was 8 feet of water in our field, and it was murky water from the local river that it blew. We had 10 inches of rain in the course of just a few hours. So it was daunting, and we came in that day. I was shaking my head. It was a bit of awe because all the renovations that we did, the player touch points, the batting cage building, the new auxiliary locker rooms, the video room, the new bullpen, all that stuff was underwater and destroyed. So we were supposed to open up. We were on the road. We were in Bowie at the time. We were going to come home and play Hartford on that Tuesday. So this is Labor Day weekend. So Monday everybody's closed. So we really couldn't get anybody here to the ballpark over the course of the weekend other than our staff. And our staff came in after water receded on that Friday and got to work at just cleaning, along with our grounds crew, who was just amazing. But yeah, it was crazy. We moved 3 games up to Hartford. Tim up there and his staff are awesome. They did anything and everything to help us in every way. But we're so fortunate to come back here and finish a season at home for that Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And our home season actually was done that weekend, and I really wanted to finish at home and not cancel those games. So we got home, we had great crowds, and frankly, you would never even know there was a flood here because the fan touch points were all clean and looking pristine.
So the ballpark survived. Needed some cleaning, obviously. What status are you in terms of meeting the new minor league specs, facility specs?
Yeah, so we're it's a work in progress. We have our new home locker rooms. We have our new batting cage building. We have padding around the field. So I'd say to be safe, we're probably a little bit more than 60% there. We have to redo our visiting locker room completely, and we're building a new gym facility for the team. So yeah, I mean, we're right there. We have some minor adjustments on the field that we have to make, but beyond that, I think we're probably ahead of most teams at this stage. And we kind of benefited as the Yankees were looking to come here. They gave us a list of things we had to do. So we had the architectural plans and all that stuff done, well previous to the Yankee announcement, just in case. So we had that information to get going as soon as we got the go ahead from the Yankees. So we were able to get that all done previous to the season starting last year.
Yeah, there's not many teams that are. I've heard rumors of one or two ballparks that are maybe totally compliant now.
Yeah, there's not very many.
No, it's not very many at all.
Yeah, there's some teams I've spoken to that felt they were compliant, but then they've come out and had Major League Baseball come out and do a survey, and they weren't even close to being compliant, which is something that we have to obviously do at some point too. So I'll have a better idea how compliant we are when that happens.
Right, and there's also big things versus little things as well. I mean, the little things are what are tripping people up right now. For the most part, they think they're compliant, and then they'll get dinged points for some small things. And but then again, there's teams building all new clubhouses for the upcoming season.
Yeah, well, that's what we did. It's all brand new home clubhouse. Yeah. We're gonna do the visiting clubhouse at the end of next season. We were going to do it this year, but because of the supply chain and things moving so slowly, we weren't confident we'd be able to pull it off before opening day. So we're going to wait. As soon as the season's over, we're going to get to work and get a whole brand new visitor clubhouse.
Yeah, those are very challenging.
I'm picturing this happening at the major league level, and somebody going to the Red Sox going, "This left field wall is just not compliant."
The left field wall. That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, listen, I can only say that I think Major League Baseball and minor league baseball, this is just part of the growing pains across the board. And at the end of the day, it's really it's about the players and making sure they have great places to play, and they're consistently great from team to team and up and down all the affiliates. So I see the mission on this. And I can just say that, I really hope that, our goal here is to keep the Yankees happy. And that's our number one goal. And if we can accomplish that, in the end of this 10-year run, we'll keep them here for another 10 years.
So are the facility challenges the biggest off-season issue for you, or are there other things you not necessarily done in the past that now you've got to prep for 2022?
Well, right now it's really all that was damaged with the flood, because that still is being painted, carpets going down. We have to get going back to supply chain stuff, that lockers and little things that you would think that you could get is taking forever to come in. So initially, when the construction company said, we'll have everything back together November 14th, what's today actually? It was yesterday. Now they're saying probably after the holidays, if not even into February. So, it gives us a lot of time, but at the same time, it's just, I want everything to be back to where it should be. And it's not quite yet. So that's kind of looming over us. But I can tell you, we are so excited about 2022, putting all that stuff behind us, all the obstacles we faced just made us stronger as an organization, top to bottom. And I'm excited to have a full season under our belt. Season ticket sales have been tremendous. Group sales have been great so far. And our advertising, everything is just falling into place. So, I'm really anxious for the season to get here, frankly. I'm looking forward to it.
On that note, and Mark, I want to turn back to you on a community relations side. This is your first off season as a Yankees affiliate. So before we even get to the players arriving, you get to be a Yankees affiliate in the off season and connecting with the community. How has this been?
Sure. Can you hear me all right? Is everything excellent? I should probably have used this one to start, because I thought, hey, I'll use my normal way to do this, and it died on us. I apologize for that. But no, we're very excited about. There's so many things to really, this being our first real off season. I mean, to be able to do all the things that we want to do. I mean, we're very community minded. There's things that we're trying to do that will allow us to really bring this out to the community, do all the things that we wanted to do last year that we really couldn't. I mean, we're still learning what it looks like to have players involved in everything, because we really didn't have that connection, as we were talking about a little bit before. But now, how do we engage schools again? How do we get involved in doing the things that we've always done? We're very much a community team, is one of our number one things that we've always prided ourselves on. We always had great players here that always went out and did school programs. They did everything from, health programs, education programs, reading, all those things that you do in the off season to just engage the community. And we had a great program that was hitting schools when COVID started, where we were really trying to teach kids to eat right, exercise, and do all these things. So it'd be exciting to see the things that we could do with the Yankees behind it to really get that message out, and also be able to use, our two brands together to really impact our community. We did a lot with the flood. We did a lot of fundraising and had a great opportunity to reach people we would have never been able to have that involvement with, because of, one, the attention around the flood, which it was everywhere. I mean, you turned on the news, it was on CNN, it was everywhere that you could possibly imagine, was showing the ballpark in this area flooded. And it was such a horrible sight to see this whole area. And we went right into helping our community mode. We knew we'd be okay. We have great leadership at the Calipers and Patrick, and then the best groundskeeper and staff that really worked to get everything there. But we wanted to be able to help the community, because we knew that a lot of people weren't going to be able to rebound as quick. And we went right out there. We tried to raise money. We did a lot to do that, and we're excited. We're going to be distributing all that money in the next couple of weeks, but we did raise about 17 through online auctions and ballpark stuff, and then the Caliper family and the dealerships that they own matched it. So we actually were able to do $35,000 donations for the community, which will be great. And those are the types of programs and the things that we're really excited to see where we can go with the Yankee partnership and Major League Baseball, and see how we could take the things that we always love to do as an independent team and only make it that much larger, and the scope of what we can do now with the Yankees behind it. I think we're all very excited about that. And this will be the first test this offseason to see how we can book groups, how we can plan events, how we can do those things, and just capitalize on that excitement that there was since November when it was announced, but we really couldn't, take those restrictions off and just run with them and see what that can do.
So that's a big stress for next year. Ballpark stuff. Anything else, or is that enough on your plate to keep you busy this off season?
I'm going to put in for new Wi-Fi in the office. I think would be something that I think we learned today, that it doesn't work on the surface.
That's an easy approval, Russian.
Excellent.
We don't like to see your face frozen on screen. No, but to answer your question, I think that those are the big concerns. We've been doing this a long time. We know what we're doing. As Mark pointed out, we have, I think, 6 or 7 of our staff that have been here 20 plus years. So we are finding the world machine in a lot of ways. It makes my job easier. We make each other's jobs easier. But at the end of the day, it's just, we keep doing what we do, is provide great entertainment for our community. And now we just make sure that our affiliation with the New York Yankees is at a high level, and we keep it there.
And what about you personally, Patrick? Are you set to? Are you going to see do you want to be Patriots head for life, or do you have other goals to tackle at some point, or what's your future? You've
been talking to my wife. Did she put you up to this? That's a question.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Now you have to tell the truth.
No, listen, I settled in here. If you asked me 20 plus years ago, I probably would have said I plan on being there for a couple of years and move on. But this is a great area to live. Number one, a phenomenal community, great people to work with, great ownership. They really care for their employees. So I don't know what else I'd be looking for in life. And I think I have what I always wanted to have, which is I drive in every day to work, and I come to a ballpark. I look at the field and I just feel blessed to be here, and then come down and work with great people and and deal with great ownership. So yeah, I see myself finishing my sports career here in about 40 years. So I'll be in my 90s. I hope the calipers will be ready for that.
Or the grandchildren of
Yeah.
of the I have Jess, anything else?
No,
What
from
if
the
any-
start of from the start of the Atlantic League and the start of the Somerset Patriots, when there was no stadium, to now when there is a stadium but it's a little wet, and the start of the Yankees affiliation, there have been challenges. It's been a roller coaster. Patrick McVerry, if this was an easy year, unfortunately, we might not have looked for you as our executive of the year, but it was not an easy year. And so congratulations to you and to Somerset.
Thank you, and I'm glad you said it. It's really an organizational award, and you're right. Listen, all these things, these obstacles that we faced, and as a staff, we just battle through them. We don't feel sorry. We don't have a pity party and feel sorry for ourselves. We just, we got to keep moving forward, and that's what we've been able to do. And thank you so much, Jesse and Kevin, for honoring me in Ballpark Digest, because it truly is an honor. I've been in this industry for a long time, and it's just a really touching award for me to receive. So thank you so much.
Well, we're really proud to be part of this as well. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Mark, thank you very much for joining us as well, and to hear what Somerset has done for the community in a devastating time. Thank you. And it's been great to hear specifically from both of you about this past year, about the experiences. Thank you very much for giving of your time today.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you to Mark Usinov and to Patrick McVerry and Kevin Reichard. Final thoughts.
I think we summed up everything pretty well. Despite the adversity, you had a great season, and here's looking to many more in the future.
Patrick McVerry, our Executive of the Year 2021, as named by Ballpark Digest, with Mark and Patrick. And for Kevin Reichard, I'm Jesse Goldberg-Strassler. This is Ballpark Digest.